The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Join your channel.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? This is Candice Harper, Love Coach, and welcome to Ask for Candy, 101 ways to make your love life sweeter. And this is our premiere show on Armed Radio. I'm so excited and so at the same time. Now, hopefully, if you're listening in, you are on your TuneIn app on some sort of smart device listening to Armed Radio, or you're on the garden listening Armed Radio Global, or hopefully you are joining me live on Facebook, where you will be able to see me and talk to me, and we can interact and have all sorts of juicy conversation. Now, if you're not on Facebook, that's cool. I have a guest. I have a house guest, a doggy. He might bark a little bit, but that's okay. If you're not on Facebook, you can call me at 1-800-508 5431, and I'm going to be asking questions later. I'm going to be reading audience questions, and you're going to be able to call in and give your advice before I give my advice, or you can call in and ask questions of your own. But here's the rundown. Here is how this show is going to go. This is the premiere show, so it's all experimental. I just want y'all to know this is how it's going to go this show. We'll see what happens next show. You never know. For this first show, we're going to start out. I'm going to tell you all about who I am and why I call myself Candice Harper Love Coach and all of that good stuff. And then we are going to take audience questions that I've already been handed. Now, I say audience because I'm assuming people that I already work with as a love coach are going to be my audience for this radio show, along with you wonderful, beautiful new people that I'm so glad to know. But I have questions from them already, and you guys are going to be the collective body of people who actually help me to answer their questions. You guys are going to be the ones who come in with all of your brilliant thoughts and advice, because I am a coach who believes that everybody does have their own answers. But what we all require as human beings is community and support and people to talk to and people to help us find our own answers and tap into our intuition. And that's what being a coach is all about. So after we do that, we go through their questions. If you guys have any questions, I'll go through your questions. Also, you guys that are on the radio, I just want you to know I'm saying hi to some of my people going live on Facebook. I got Tom Sircone and Joe Savino. Thank you, Joe, for giving me the show. Julie Cermak McBride, TJ Dirt. Hi, TJ, Brandon. I love you guys. Angela, all these cool people signing in. I appreciate you guys for being here. Definitely talk to me. So throughout the show, I'll be talking to the people live, and I'll also be talking to the radio listeners if you call in. So then after we do audience questions, I'm going to leave space for you guys' questions. And then I'm going to give you guys 3 ways to make your love life sweeter, all of our love lives sweeter, instantly, immediately. It's good stuff. Then if we have time, we're going to do like a light guided meditation, just to come down off the high, just to sort of like get into our bodies and get into our space and be able to walk away. It's Monday evening, so you know that's the beginning of the week, right? So we want to start out the week with like all kinds of love and good vibes. Thank you guys for likes over here on Facebook. Then we will say goodnight, and I will send you with a question to think on throughout the week. And what we'll do is we'll think about that question, we'll do some self-reflection, and then we'll come back next week and we will revisit it, and we'll have a whole new conversation to make life sweeter. Let me just start by introducing myself. For those of you who don't know me, and that's most of you probably out in the Armed Radio world, and most of you who are here on Facebook Live are mostly my friends, so you guys do know me. But I don't know if you know this trajectory of how I became Candice Harper Love Coach. So some of the people who are commenting here on Facebook Live, I've actually known since I was in 5th grade. But you guys know how social media goes. It's like false intimacy. You don't necessarily get to know every moment of someone's life, or how their life has evolved. And I will tell you that I actually started out as a designer. And, I was working day jobs. I was an art director. I was a costume designer. I was really, really into the entertainment industry, really into that world, and even a performer for a while. And then in 2011, I got laid off. I had a really great job. And I just decided not to go back because I knew that there was something that I was meant to do, something more purposeful, something more connected. I knew that there was something bigger that I was destined for. Now, initially, I thought that my purpose was just to help people. So I looked for ways to volunteer, help people out of their issues, things like that. Just I was always there to be a listening ear. And for years, I had studied personal growth and transformation. So it just sort of meshed together that I was this sort of talker, advice giver, conversationalist when it came to people and the things they wanted to do. And so I decided to become a dream coach, like a life goals coach. And I helped people write scripts and start businesses and things like that. But there was something missing, because what would always happen is that it would always come back to love, because our love relationship, like once we can master that relationship, we can master everything else. And usually we do it the other way around. As a matter of fact, I try to do it the other way around. We think we master our career and we master our, hobbies and other things like that the love stuff will sort of take care of itself. And a lot of times in a way it does, because you end up married and all of that stuff. But if we're not looking to really be focused and aware and attentive to how we grow with ourselves, how we grow with other people, how we treat our love life, if we're not looking to have attention to that, that is the one relationship that is reflective of how we feel about ourselves, and is also what indicates how we treat everything else and how we show up with everything else. Because you can show up, and have a pretty great career and have a pretty crappy love life. But if you have a really great love life and that's the thing that you're looking to sort of grow and improve in, then the career just really it opens up, it skyrockets, because it all comes down to your relationship with yourself. And we're going to get to all of that stuff. So anyway, like I said, I became a love coach because it always came back to love. And it always came back to love for me too. I always say I'm the coach on the court. Like all the stuff that I talk about, all these things that I teach, the courses that I write and things like that, they come from my own personal journey, and they come from my own needs to grow and transform and all of that good stuff. And I always say that your purpose is where your talents and your passions and your challenges all come together. And I'm a talented talker. I love to connect with people. I'm passionate about helping other people with their stuff. I'm a problem solver, and love and romance has always been a challenge, and it always will be. It always will be for all of us. But there is an avenue into having just a juicy, loving partnership, free, wonderful way. And Tammy, love takes work. I get what you're saying, Tammy. I think you're right in a way, but there is a way to have ease. And the challenges that happen with love, it's just really about context. If we look at love's challenges as pain, as difficulty, even a breakup, if you look at it in a certain context, even a breakup can be a blessing. Trust me, I just had one with someone who is a wonderful person, but we were not wonderful together. Did not break up, would not have been able to discover each other's wonderfulness. And yeah, we all need that ease. And the way to find that ease is by context. So that's how I became a love coach. This is just something I'm so passionate about. It's something I'm so passionate about helping people with. I really want people to be able to find that ease, master their love lives, and create win-win relationships in every area of your life. Because you can create a win-win relationship in your love life. You can create a win-win relationship everywhere. All about partnership and contribution and all that stuff. And that is what we are going to be talking about on Monday nights. That is what we're going to be deep diving into and just having really juicy conversations about. And I so want to know what you guys think. I want to know what you guys advise to your friends, what the conversations are. And one thing I was thinking about, I really want to take care of this this sort of rumble of hostility that I feel like is happening between men and women. There's so much going on right now in our culture with sexual harassment and fear and power and all of that stuff. But one thing I really hope and I really want to be cause for creating is that the hostility goes down, and that the love and the kindness and the compassion goes up, that men and women get to a point where we really can understand each other. We can work together. We can understand where each other is coming from. No one has to be the victim of anyone, and it's okay to be who you are. Now, okay to be who you are if your intention is not to hurt somebody. And so I really, really want for us to be part of the conversation that has that is cause of no more hostility between men and women, no more hostility between anybody. But, in particular, I think that is something that's starting to come up in our culture. And Mary Beth, I see you love seeing your smile. Oh, thank you, honey. Keep up the good work. For others, you're doing great. Thank you so much. See, the great thing about Facebook Live, for those of you who are listening on the radio, and I love and adore you, those of you who are listening on the radio, you're absolutely welcome to come on Facebook and become my friend so you can watch live too, is that all the people that know you, they give you these encouraging words and, are listening in. And I love you guys for that. Thank you so much, Mary Beth. So I think we should get started after all that intro. I feel like you guys know me. I feel like at least on some level, you know who you're talking to. And like I said, I have a couple of questions that were handed to me. You're going to hear some noises in the background because I have a little canine house guest. He might make an appearance. You might see him on camera. He's very cute, and sometimes he likes to be on camera. Oh, I think I see him moving around. Oh no, he's not coming yet, but if he does, I'll show him to you guys. So let's start with our audience questions. So I have 2 letters here. I'm going to read them to you. Oh, here he is in the background. I don't know if you can see how cute he is. Hanging out. For those of you on the radio, I have a very cute little Pomsky. He's half Pom, half Husky. He's my house guest today. And you're going to hear him sometimes a little bit in the background. And he's all about love and compassion and kindness too. Anyway, let's start with this first audience question, this first letter. So, married for 8 years. He's had anger management and alcohol issues the entire time I've known him, but he's never touched me before. This is actually one of the questions from Reddit. 3 months ago, he came home drunk one night, and I was angry because he hadn't told me where he was, and I can't stand it when he comes home at midnight really drunk. His friend dropped him off. I told him he needed to get his drinking under control, and I went to sleep in the spare bedroom. He came in and said I had a holier-than-thou attitude and I wasn't perfect either, which is like a usual addict's argument. And then he pushed me hard. I was standing beside the bed and I fell onto the bed. The next morning, he was very apologetic and said he'd try to control his drinking and not get into situations where he gets so drunk. Needless to say, that didn't actually happen, and he continued to drink as he has all along. So he's been drinking for 8 years. And apparently it got to a point where he got angry enough to be physical. Last night he came home drunk again. I didn't say anything about this at all. Instead, I asked him to please come to bed and go to sleep. However, he was restless and didn't want to sleep. He was making a lot of noise. And since it was after midnight, I told him to knock it off for being so loud. He didn't say anything to me, but instead walked over to me in the bed and hit me hard in the side of my head by my temple. I was actually shocked. He just said, "Fuck off and leave." Wow. I don't know if I can say that word on digital radio, but I just did. So I went to the spare bedroom again to sleep. Now he's again very apologetic and swears he will not hang out with his drinking buddy again. However, the very next morning, he suggested that I contributed to it by escalating him while he's drunk. Addicts never want to take responsibility for anything. That isn't the case. I simply told him to stop making such a ruckus at 12 a.m. He's scared I'm going to divorce him. As much as alcoholism sucks, I can deal with it. I have my whole life from various people. However, I've never experienced domestic violence before, and I have no idea what to do. A key point here is that his ex-wife claims he hit her several times during their marriage. He strongly denied it and said she was saying that to get full custody of their kids. She was saying that to get full custody of their kids. She didn't end up with full custody. I believed him as he'd never shown any signs of being violent towards me. However, now I'm thinking she was perhaps telling the truth. Could this be a turning point for him? I know he is deeply ashamed of his actions. Or am I a fool for thinking this won't just keep happening with more frequency now that he's crossed that line? Obviously, I do not want to get divorced if it is at all avoidable. I still love him. I love our life together, and I have so much invested in our marriage. Does anyone have experience with this? So, this is like a heavy question to start off with. And yeah, so like, what do you guys think about this? I'm gonna put it out there. Whoever wants to call in, 1-800-508-5431. And those of you who are on Facebook Live, if you want to chime in, like I know what I think about this, and I don't want to get into a big analyzation of it until, I kind of get a gauge of, what you guys think about this. What do you guys think about this woman? They're in their early 40s. Says they've been married for 8 years. He's had anger management and alcohol issues the entire time. And this is, I guess, recently is the first couple of times that he's actually laid hands on her. Pushed her down on the bed, and he hit her on the side of her head, and all of that stuff. So I know that the usual thing is just to go straight to, girl, you got to get out. You got to get to an abuse shelter. You got to, hurry up and leave him. He's only going to get worse. It's, that's just the normal trajectory of abuse and addiction and all of that stuff. And all of that is valid and all of it is reasonable. However, having been someone who's been in an abusive relationship and worked with women who come from abusive relationships, realistically, we know that a majority of women do not get out, do not do anything about it until they are hitting rock bottom. And by rock bottom, I mean they're in the hospital or someone has beaten them so badly that they don't know, how they're going to recover, or they're barely recovering. And a lot of women end up killed in these situations. So what she's talking about here is these sort of early stages of the violence, right? The beginning of it. So a lot of times, and even in the Reddit post, there was a lot of, just leave him, you've got to leave him, you've got to go. But here's the thing that I think a lot of people just sort of ignore when it comes to taking care of women who are in these situations. There's a lot sort of at stake when you're in this situation. And when you're not looking at it from the outside, it seems like your life is going to have such a major transformation that it's something that you can't actually overcome. Like the amount of money that you have tied into this person, or whether this person is supporting you or not, if you have children with this person, there's a lot of different reasons for why women choose to let an abusive relationship escalate. And sometimes it's just about the relationships that have built. You have familial relationships that have built up, maybe some family that knows, some family that doesn't know, but either way, after some years together. Now, she went into this relationship knowing that he was an alcoholic and had anger management issues. But if you remember, she mentioned in the letter that she's used to it, that she's had relationships with alcoholics. And from what she said in the letter, I get the impression that she probably was raised by alcoholics, or, she's used to being, people being drunk around her. She says, as much as alcoholism sucks, I can deal with it. I have my whole life from various people. And that sounds like possibly parents. So how do we help someone who's in this situation, who feels like being in a relationship with an addict or an alcoholic is just part of life? How do you convince somebody out of that? So if she, if we were talking directly and I were directly counseling her, the first thing that I would say is, how often does she ask herself, do I deserve to be treated with respect? Do I deserve to be treated like a human being? Because here's the thing. When you are in a situation where you're so, what did you say, TJ? He needs to bottom out and go to psychological counseling. There is a deep-rooted problem causing his heavy drinking. Absolutely, TJ. You are absolutely right. Now, that's what I would say if I was talking to him. I mean, clearly. And also, I think he needs to ask himself that question, because what this comes down to, abusive relationships, you have two people who aren't in good relationships with themselves. Like, I'm a drinker, an addict, an alcoholic. I'm trying to fix something. I'm trying to fill a void. I'm trying to, fill an emotional hole. I'm trying to make up for something or some abuse that was done to me. And so then I take it out on my partner, the person that I'm with. And the person that I'm with is codependent and, thinks that they can handle it, and thinks, if you're with an addict and you think you can handle it, you're kidding yourself. You're kidding yourself, because either you are also an addict, which eventually you won't be able to handle that, just like they're not going to be able to handle their addiction, or you're just a codependent person, and that's not sustainable either as far as relationships are concerned. So back to what I would advise for her is, you got to be willing to ask yourself some questions. Do I deserve this? Do I deserve to be treated with respect? Do I deserve to be treated with kindness and compassion? Now, very few of us, no matter how deep we are in our sickness, don't believe that we should be treated with kindness and compassion. If you ask anybody, do they deserve to be treated with kindness and compassion, they would rightfully say yes. I mean, unless there's some sort of sociopathic tendencies, I don't know. But, for this woman who wrote this letter, what I'm hearing in this letter is that she is not sat down with herself and gotten willing to just say, I'm settling for less than I deserve. Now, that seems like some sort of quick thing, right? So I say, do I deserve to be treated with respect? What that does is it starts me down a thought pattern. So maybe the next time he tries to do something, what's Toby have to say? She knows it's not going to change. She wrote this letter. She knows the answer. She has to ask herself, how long do I let this go on until he kills me? Every time she lets it go, she enables and approves of the behavior, which will just escalate. Absolutely, Toby. Absolutely. And that is what a codependent does. And to get to the point where you can say, how long do I let this go on? You have to get in touch with how you show up for yourself. Are you showing up for yourself? We get so caught up in, when we're in a relationship, what that other person is doing and what they're bringing to the relationship. And even in writing a letter like this, it's all about him and his behavior and what he did. But there's no acknowledgement of how she's showing up for her, not showing up for him, showing up for her. And so just that question of, do I deserve to be treated with respect? Do I deserve to be treated with kindness? That is the beginning of the road towards an evolution in your thinking. Because when you're coming through a context of, this is what I'm used to, this is what I deserve, this is the cards I was dealt, you have no chance. You have no chance. You give yourself no opportunity, and you don't know until you know, until someone can sit you down and say, is this really what you feel like you deserve? If you were talking to your 5-year-old self, your 6-year-old self, would you say to her, look, you're going to grow up and somebody's going to smack you upside your head and that's what you get? Of course you wouldn't. No sane human being would do that, but the thought process has to begin somewhere. And once the thought process begins, then there's an allowable evolution for, like, how can I now improve? And this is how we change anything in our lives. We got to be willing to first ask ourselves that question, like, do I deserve this? Does this work for me? Is what I'm doing, has what I've been doing been working? The moment you're willing to ask yourself that question, that's when things begin to be able to change, evolve, and you get growth and you get to see something different. And also, on top of that, this idea that when we're with someone, that it is our responsibility, it is our job to absorb their dysfunction or to change them or to endure and to be strong enough for their problem. That is like the road to the death of a relationship. You can't be strong enough for someone else's issues, strong enough for someone else's problems. You got to have two people who are there, who want to contribute and have the ability and the health and all of that good stuff. So my advice to this woman wouldn't be hurry up and get out of that relationship, because she's not going to listen to that. My advice would be, get aware of yourself. What do you deserve? What do you feel like you deserve? Is this what you dreamed of having? What do you dream of actually having? What do you think is possible for you? And how can you get to a point that you love yourself enough that, this sort of thing just doesn't have a place in your life anymore, that it's just not okay anymore. And then, is what's going to empower her to be able to extract herself from it. And actually, if she's in integrity with what it is she really wants, I will tell you this. When we're clear on what we want and we're in integrity with it and aligned with it, even if you're just a single girl dating and you say, look, I want somebody who's all in 100%, who, wants to be in a relationship with me or nothing at all. So that means I'm not just going to sleep with you because you feel it on the weekends or whatever. And you really just stay in alignment with it. Those who don't mean you well or aren't aligned with what it is you're up to, they just go away on their own. An abuser cannot stay with someone who won't settle for abuse. And it's not a fight, it's not a battle, it's not a conflict, it's, you hit me, I'm not doing that, I'm out. But you can't get to that point until you know that you deserve better. So that's what I would say for this particular viewer. We're going to pray for her. We're going to hope for the best. We're going to hope that she's listening and that she, or anybody who's suffering similar. I don't know if you guys can hear my little house guest. We'll see if This is my house guest, everybody. For those of you on the radio, you can't see him. He's very cute, but I wanted to show him to everybody on Facebook Live because he's crying and wants to be seen. Anyway, so next, let's do our next question. I have another really, really good one. Okay, so this is a couple in their late, he's cute, right, Tammy? This is a couple in their late 30s. And so he says, my wife of 12 years and I have had a good marriage with minor ups and downs. We have 2 daughters, 4 and 7 years old. And he says, first, my wife has always been a calm person. She rarely fights and is a great communicator. As a person, she is kind and intelligent. Recently, she's been under a lot of stress. About 3 months ago, her mother died. Her father died 5 years ago, and there has been a big fight between her and her siblings, 2 of them. And the fight is about an inheritance. They can't agree on who inherits what. And my wife, who has been put into the middle with the other 2, constantly forcing her to pick sides, causing some high-end drama, etc. She doesn't want to fight with them, so she's been trying to be civil and reasonable, etc. Other than that, her job is also causing stress to her. She only has 1 day off in the week. Her bosses are demanding, and one of them is verbally abusive. She has the most of the work to do, finishing her coworkers' duties, staying longer at work because of that, and she's always being taken advantage of by her colleagues because she wants to help everyone out. A little bit of a people pleaser. Then her aunt is ill and poor, and she has no one to support her. My wife is the one who takes care of her, visits her every day, helps with the medicine, the chores, etc. And her siblings don't want to be part of that. This aunt has no one else and lives off a small pension. And well, if my wife didn't help, nobody would, and the woman would have to take care of herself and has suffered 2 strokes, numerous health problems, etc. So she's got a lot going on with this aunt. Anyway, my wife and I have decided to spend a weekend alone for the first time in a long time. We left the children at my brother's house and decided to have 2 days only for ourselves. Fantastic. Everything was going well until my wife received a message from her sister, which said, I can't believe you are so selfish. Today there was a lot of paperwork and 3 meetings to do, and you just decided to escape from it. What is wrong with you? Do you think it's okay that I always have to do everything while you're just being lazy and probably lying in bed all day? Wow. What would mom say if you even care about that? In the morning, my wife had an argument with her sister about the paperwork related to the house, and my wife is always the one doing the paperwork. This is the first time that it fell onto her sister. Well, this kind of hit my wife very hard. She threw the phone at the wall, screamed how she couldn't take it anymore, threw everything from the kitchen table, and broke about 7 glasses and 3 plates. Then started hitting the bathroom door with her legs. I tried to stop it, but she was completely unapproachable, to the point that she cracked the door. Oh my goodness. Then took the glass with it, breaking the glass and cracking it. I love this woman. She's just like, enough. Went batshit. She's like, while doing that, she was hysterically crying and loudly talking about how she hates everyone and everything and how she wishes to just disappear. I tried to calm her. She laid on the floor and cried even more hysterically and was restless, hitting the floor with her legs, etc. After it was all over, she went to sleep. I don't blame her. That's a whole lot of that's a whole lot of destruction. She's like, that's it. I'm going to sleep. I do not blame her one bit. This happened 5 days ago. She called in sick from work. She doesn't get up from her bed. She doesn't talk mostly. She seems severely depressed. When I try to talk to her, she tells me to leave her alone. I asked her if she wanted to see a therapist. She refused. So she's completely unapproachable at the moment. Please note that she has never had such a breakdown, never broke a single glass, never raised her tone ever in the past 12 plus 2 dating years. This shocked me more than you can imagine. I have no idea how to deal with this. I'm trying my best to comfort her, but nothing is working. It's like she has completely been deprived of her energy. What can I do? How can I help her? Aw, this is a good husband. So I want to see what some of the comments are. Let's see. Do you think you deserve questions need to be asked? Yes, yes. Thank you, Kevin. I think you're absolutely right. That's for the last one. Yeah, Tammy, she's like, yes, she had enough. And that happens, you know, when that happens, when we as women mostly, but I'm sure it happens to men too, overfunction and try to be perfectionist and people please and try to be everything to everyone, which is not possible. It's just not possible. But what happens is we think that that is the way to love the people that we love. We think that that's the way to have the people that we love us and appreciate us a lot of times, and we think that that is what we're supposed to do. A lot of times that's what our mothers did, and that's what, you know, I know that my mother absolutely just overboard with the people pleasing, and then a break would happen, and, you know, holy hell and terror would rain down, and that's what happens when you think that you can be everything to everyone. And even though it's not intentional, and I don't want to make anybody wrong here, I mean, we've all been in a position where we didn't know how to say a strong yes or a strong no. It's also very manipulative. It's not love. It's not real kindness. It's not real compassion. What it is thinking that you can be good enough. First of all, it's not self-love, definitely, but thinking that you can be good enough to force others to love you. And that you can do all the things that will force others to love you. And it's coming from a place of not being enough, just being who you are and being on your own and not feeling like you're enough to just say no when you want to say no. And, you know, it's such an egoic story, like the part about the aunt, where the aunt is sick and she's bedridden. And if my wife didn't do it, no one would do it. Now, you know, the husband is very sweet that he's bought into this along with her, but that's the story that she's told him over and over again, right? Like, if I didn't do it, nobody would care. I'm the only one who cares. And in as much as it's outwardly well-intended, it's very egoic. And this is what happens when we do this to ourselves. At some point, you got a break. Like, you just get a psychological break. You can't take anymore. It's not up to us to be in control and to be everything that everyone else wants us to be and everything that everyone else expects us to be. It's just not, it's not for us to do that. So I think this husband, for writing this letter, is very, very sweet and very, very kind that he, you know, cared enough to reach out. But what I would want to do is work with her directly and work with her on why she feels like she has to do all of these things without just asking for help and asking for partnership and trusting other people to do it. How many of you out there, maybe if you guys want to call in, 1-800-508-5431, how many of you out there feel like if you don't do it, it won't get done, or if you don't do it, it won't be done right? And those of you who are on Facebook Live, please feel free to comment. I personally am one of those people that does not trust anyone to do anything that I want to have done. And it's something that I'm working on, like I'm working on changing. Like, how do I allow other people to partner with me and contribute to me? And how do I just trust other people to do things? so that I don't have to do it all. I with my sisters, we're going through a similar thing. I mean, our parents luckily are still alive, but they had to be put in assisted living, and there's a lot to be done. My older sister, she takes a lot of the responsibility, but it's like, we've been lucky because I do have two really loving and great sisters. But it is really important that we be able to say to each other, yes, no, I can, I can't, all of that stuff. And it's like, it's so easy to fall into that place of, I don't know, just believing that if I don't do it, then it's not going to get done right. Or if I don't do it, it's not going to get done at all. It's easy to fall into that egoic place that the universe or God or whatever you believe in is not going to take care of the situation, that it's all going to fall on our shoulders. It's so easy to do that when we tell ourselves that we have to please everyone, that we're not enough. So yeah, that's what I would say to his wife. Were I talking directly to her? I definitely think that what he needs to do is back off. Let her have her break. I know it might be scary, but figure out how to take up the slack for a little while. If she's going to lay in bed for a while, I think he said that she just went to sleep. I love her for that. Let me tell you, when it gets to be too much out there and you can't take anymore, go to sleep, lay down, take a nap. What kids do. It's like, it's the perfect thing. Sometimes you just got to give yourself a break. I think somebody's calling in. Wait, we have a caller. Hold on. Hello?
For extension.
Oh, 5. We do. We have a call. Oh, we have a call coming in. Hello there. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
This is Victoria Howard.
Hi, Victoria Howard. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Do you have a question?
I was supposed to call in at 8:40.
Okay.
I'm the author of the new book, Dancing for Dollars.
Oh, well, hi, Victoria Howard. I love that you called in, but I think you might have been supposed to call in at 9:40. Who were you?
Oh, they said 8:40.
Oh, really? Yeah, no, not my show. I love that you called in, though.
Okay, thank you.
All right, good luck, Victoria. Thank you for calling. I love that the first call was a wrong number. See, this is what happens on new shows, people. The first call is a wrong number. We love a wrong number. That's how you get to meet people. Now I want to read Victoria Howard's book. What did she say it was called? Dancing for Dollars. Honey, we're going to have to read that book. Anyway, so yeah, I got to say for this husband, he just has to back it up a little bit. Give her a little bit of a break. Let her have her time. She's just got to deal with this thing. Oh, hold on one second. I got to get this dog. He's in the recycling. She's got to rest it off a little bit. And I think, he starts out the letter with that she's always been a calm person. She rarely fights. She's a great communicator, and she's kind and intelligent. So just have faith in that. She's having a moment right now. She's going to get it back together. Take up the slack, hire somebody to help if you can, or ask somebody to come over and do a little bit of helping with the housework or helping with whatever you can't do. And just let her have a few days just to do what she's got to do and work through her stuff. And, as a kind and intelligent and calm person, she will return to normal. And, what I would say also is to just be a listening ear without being in fix-it mode. I know that men in relationships, and it's well-intended and it's wonderful, tend to want to go to fix-it mode. Honey, you need to do this, you need to do that, and I'll help you with this, and what can I do? How can I make this better? When are you going to get better? Should we call the therapist? Should we call the doctor? Should I do that? Well-intended and it's loving and all of that stuff. But women, we need to process. When we go through our stuff, she probably didn't fully grieve her parents who passed away. This thing that's going on with her sisters, who knows if any of them did, and all of that. Women need to decompress and process. So the best thing you can do as the loving husband that you are, who wrote this beautiful letter, this very sweet letter, wanting to fix it, is to stop trying to fix it. And, just go ahead about your business with, keeping the house going, be a listening ear, ask her what she needs, ask her genuinely what she needs, provide it if you can. And if you can't, look for ways to get help to provide it. And, start Asking for help. That's such a big concept, right? Asking for help. I mean, what do you guys think about that in general, especially when it comes to your relationships? Whether you're in a relationship or you're single and dating or whatever, like when you start dealing with the emotional stuff around your love life, how many of you out there ask for help and actually receive it? Because I feel like, especially when you get past a certain age, we already feel like we know everything and we have it all figured out. And I mean, even after, I don't know how many years of transformational training and all of that stuff, like the biggest thing that I've learned out of all of these years is there's nothing to know. Like, it really is. There's no one size fits all tips and tricks. There's no quick fixes. There's no right words that you can say to have a perfect relationship. There's no right words that you can say to have a perfect singlehood. Like you see those things like catch him and keep him and get the guy and, get that girl in bed and all of that stuff. All of that is that instant gratification, immediate satisfaction kind of stuff. And none of it is sustainable. When it comes to all of this, life gets in the way. So, it really is very individual. It really is about things being tailored to each individual person. And one thing that's really important is that we need to be able to partner with people to ask for help. And whether that's therapists, coaches, some of us are lucky enough to have family members and friends, which I don't necessarily recommend family members and friends for advice giving. Mainly because they have an investment, and in as much as they might love you and be very well intended, they usually are coming from a place of whatever their investment is in your getting better or your being what they would like for you to be, or wanting you to have whatever it is that you want, not from a place of sort of a detached sort of impartial view that will help you with your individual issues. I know I'm totally digressing here, but this is the first show and I have so much, and I'm sitting in the kitchen, we're talking about love, and it's my favorite thing to do. I feel like I could do it all night. What's going on with you guys out there? Like Victoria Howard called in, she's an author, she wasn't supposed to, but what's going on out in the radio world, in the armed radio world? You guys can call in 1-800-5, wait, let me make sure I'm giving you the right number, 1-800-508-5431. And those of you on Facebook Live, I just saw a whole bunch of likes and laughs and loves. Thank you. I love how emotional Facebook responses have gotten. It's wonderful. All right, so that's it for our questions and answers section. Unless anybody has anything else that they want to chime in. I see some compliments on the Facebook Live comment. You sound great and look beautiful. Thank you, Pascal. And Toby, you are serving young Oprah realness right now. Yes, honey. Thank you. I'll take that. And Tammy Collins Tackick, she says, oh my, I think that was to that last letter that we read. So what did we say we're going to do now? Oh, 3 ways to make our love lives sweeter. So I came up with these 3 ways. Altogether, I have about 101, but we don't have time for me to share all 101. Once we've done enough shows where I've shared all 101, we're going to come up with 101 more. I feel like you guys probably, you can hear my refrigerator warming up or whatever it does, cooling down in the background. I feel like you guys could each come up with 101 ways to make love sweeter, to make our love lives sweeter. And there's nothing too, small or big or whatever. It could be something as small as like the nice little kind things we do for each other, or,
User left your channel.
Releasing some sort of, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, so let's talk about the 3 ways. Release the story of relationship failures. This is one way to make our love life sweeter. So many of us walk around with like divorces and breakups and past relationships, and it's like we carry it around like a pack on our back. Like, the story that we tell ourselves. I had a client once, her story was that she just didn't have, she's a woman of a certain age, and that she just didn't have enough experience with love. And, she hadn't been in a serious relationship, or she hadn't been married or whatever. And so for that, she felt like she failed or had a story of not being enough. And then, a lot of times I know a lot of clients who been divorced, and there's something about divorce. It just gives people such a major sense of failure. And what I want to say about that when it comes to our relationships, everyone we encounter is we're meant to encounter. There's no wasted time. There's no failure when it comes to relationship. They're there to challenge us, to grow us. The dog is playing with his ball. They are there, even right now. Haru is here to challenge and grow me to be doing this radio show while he's in the background playing with his toys and whining. But everyone that we encounter, they're there for us to grow and learn and become, and to move on to the next, or to grow with them and, build something together. And so anytime you consider it a failure, it's like we're negating the value that we got out of having encountered that person. Even if it was a horrible relationship, none of it's wasted. There's a reason for everyone that we meet. There's a reason for everyone we run into. And, they are a reflection of the relationship that we're having with ourselves. And, our whole point in this life is to develop a mastery with the relationship we have with ourselves. And the only way to do that is through the eyes and the reflection of how we encounter other people. And I know it's kind of a catch-22, because they say you got to love yourself first before you can love somebody else. But this is how you learn to love yourself.
User joined your channel.
This is how you learn to love yourself. You learn to love yourself by seeing these reflections. And so you got to let it be okay. Like all this shaming yourself because you went through a divorce, shaming yourself because your relationship didn't work out. All of that stuff, it's a waste of time, and it doesn't actually further any of our ability to create real love or to have a great situation. It's disempowering. So that's number one, ways to make your love life sweeter. Number two, assess our needs for instant gratification. So here's one way to make your love life sweeter. Assess your need for food, booze, weed, and sex that you're using to fill a void. Sex in general, like that is very sweet. So we don't want to stop doing that. But when we're doing it to fill some sort of void, sexual addiction, all these things that we are addicted to instantly gratify us. If we can just take a look at why we're doing it and what we're trying to replace, which is usually safety and love and kindness and compassion, and generate that instead in those moments when and trust me, I'm saying this like I've mastered that. I have not. Trust me, I ate 5 slices of pizza this week. But the thing about that is, it's just a willingness not to be perfect. Not that you got to eat lettuce all the time and pretend to be perfect, and that you don't need to feel good, that you don't need a glass of wine every now and then. It's not about that. What it's about is just assessing when you're using that stuff to fill the void of love that you're not generating, or love that you feel like you didn't get. Want to make it a little bit sweeter? When you're feeling a lack of love, just generate a little bit. Give it to somebody, put it on somebody, or give it to yourself. Just generate a little love, generate a little kindness, and it'll be there for you. You don't have to wait for anybody else to do it for you. You don't have to put something in your body to try to make up for it. You don't have to, gratify yourself in the moment. Just give yourself exactly what you feel like you're missing at any given moment. That's what we're here for. We're humans. We generate it. And then the very last thing, the third thing, to make your love life a little bit sweeter this week and going forward, is that consistency takes community. Find yourself an accountability partner or friends or other people who want to reach a similar goal as you, whether it's in your relationship or in your singlehood or whatever goes on in your love life. Find somebody who is aligned, a friend, someone you can have regular contact with, who is aligned with what it is you want for yourself. Now, I know a lot of times us single girls, we travel in flocks, and sometimes that can be counterproductive. But what you want to do is find somebody who is in a place where they're so connected and clear about what it is that they want, and it's aligned with what it is you want for yourself, and make a pact with that person that you're going to support each other with having it, and that it's not about competition. You're not trying to race to see who can get down the aisle first or anything like that. If you're in a relationship, and men can do this too, like you want to be a better husband, find another dude who wants to be a better husband. You want to be a better wife, find another woman who wants to be a better wife. Just find somebody who is aligned with what it is you want for yourself, and become each other's accountability partners. Practice partnership. Practice being able to build something with somebody else and letting somebody else contribute to you. So that is number 3. Every week I'll give you 3 ways to make your love life a little bit sweeter. And let's see, we got a little bit of time. So I think that we should take a moment and just like do a little meditation over the radio. I wish there was a way for radio listeners to let me know how they're doing, how they're feeling. I know we have the call-in number, 1-800-508-5431. Also, if you come later on Facebook Live and you see this broadcast, because it's going to be shared, just comment and use the hashtag #AskForCandy. I feel like I want to get that hashtag going. Also, you can join the Creative Love Collective, which is a Facebook group, Creative Love Collective, and you'll be able to see any of these repeats played out. Those of you who are listening on the radio, if you want to actually watch the show, you can do that. You can see me playing with the dog and pulling back and forth with this chew toy. But yeah, I think let's take a moment right now. Let's just get quiet, get comfortable in your seat, put your feet on the floor. If you're sitting down, if you're laying down, that's even better. Just let your feet sort of just fall to the side. You can sit back. I'm sitting back in my chair right now. And I'm just letting my hands drop down, taking a deep breath. And then let it out through your mouth. Take another deep breath. And let it out through your mouth. And one more deep breath. And then let it out through your mouth. Just get really in tune to where you are in this moment. Just really present. Don't worry about what happened today. Don't worry about what the day looked like. Don't worry about if you had any sort of conflict with anybody. Don't worry about if Monday didn't go your way. Just let all of that go. Take a deep breath. And just breathe that out. Any of it. Don't think about what tomorrow is going to be like. It doesn't matter. Right now, you're just in this very moment. Take a deep breath. Out, just be here in this moment, here, and just think about different parts of your body. And if you need to, just go ahead and just like isolate with your ankles. You can roll your ankles around, roll your wrists around, move your fingers around a little bit, eyes closed. Feel your hands move. Take a deep breath. Blow it out through your mouth. Let your head drop. Let your head drop from side to side. Breathing. Just relax. Just relax in knowing that there's nothing to do. There's nothing that you have to force. That you are just in this moment right now. If you are well enough and rich enough to have a computer to be listening to this broadcast, you are open and here and able to just sit and relax. If you do have a little bit of pain, go ahead and breathe into that pain. Breathe in. Go ahead and release it. And just take a moment to think about everything that is in your present moment that you are grateful for. Like, I'm grateful for this little puppy right here who just really wanted my attention throughout this call, but just as cute as he can be. Grateful for all of you who have come on Facebook Live and commented and engaged. I'm really grateful for the time that you took to do that, and it's very supportive. I love you for that. Grateful to all of you who are listening on Armed Radio, all of you who are listening in the garden on Radio Global. I'm grateful for Joe Savino, who hooked me up with this Monday night spot. I'm grateful for Maria Gentili, whose show, What's the Story with Maria, is tomorrow night, whose show I was on last week, which is how I got hooked up with this. I'm grateful for just health, good health, and just being able to be here with you all. And I'm grateful for everybody who listened in. Take a deep breath. Put out. Think about all the love in your life. Think about all the love that you generate in your life. Think about just what is possible for you going forward in this week. And it doesn't have anything to do with what today was like. And what I would say is the sign-off question and the thing to think about the next week, and that we're going to revisit next week and talk about, is how do you show up? So we're always quick when we're in relationships and we're in our dating lives to have all of the reasons why it's wrong, like what's wrong with our relationship, what's wrong in our dating life, why we don't have what we want, why it doesn't look like what we want, what's wrong with that other person, you know, what we could fix, what could be better. We're very quick to acknowledge those things. But one thing that we rarely do, I myself included, we rarely think about how we show up. How we show up in our relationships. We can always talk about that other person and what they're not doing, but how do you show up in your love life? How do you show up for yourself? How do you show up for your loved one? How do you show up wherever you have conflicts or wherever you have an issue? How do you show up? And the answer might be, I show up fantastically and I'm a wonderful person. And if that's the case, then fantastic. And you have no complaints, fantastic. But trust me, if you have complaints about others, there's something to look at about how you're showing up. And this is how Haru shows up, needing attention. So, yeah, I want you to think about that as your question of the week. We will talk about it. #AskForCandy if you want to comment on this post, if you're watching later on, if you want to join the Creative Love Collective and ask any questions. That's about it. That's my time. And until next time, never forget that you are a love machine. If you ever start to feel like you aren't getting the love you need, just make some more. All right. I'll see you guys next week. Or those of you listening, you'll hear me next week. I love you. Thank you for being here. And I will see you next week. Bye. Love you.